Thanks everyone for joining us. Really excited to discuss FxHash today, specifically because, as the host leading this discussion with you guys, I haven't done much with the Tezos blockchain at all. So hopefully my questions are very inquisitive because I don't know too much. So would quickly just love a quick introduction from you and the team, and just tell us a little bit about who you are and what got you started here on the project, and then maybe we can dive into a little bit about what makes this project what it is.
Yeah, sure. I'll start off just giving a brief intro, then afterwards I can also just share my screen, show you FxHash, show you sort of like the ecosystem, what it is about. So to get started, FxHash started in November of 2021. So right now I think we are 13 months old. Initially, so basically the Tezos ecosystem has been around, like the Tezos art ecosystem has been around since roughly like the beginning of Hic which was sort of like a marketplace, really indie marketplace on Tezos that started in beginning of 2021. A lot of artists went there that maybe, especially a lot of artists from third world countries went there that were not able to afford basically the gas fees of ETH, and basically searched for a different chain where the fees were lower, speeds were higher, and thus sort of like a really like art community made by artists formed on Tezos. Obviously there was some generative art to it, but not mainly. And then basically FxHash got created out of this need for a platform for generative art. What does that mean? Our main founder is a generative artist himself. He's called Cyphered, and he basically was not able to upload and share his art in the way that he wanted. He always speaks about it, wanting to share art in an Instagram way. Basically, you create your artwork, you create your generative artwork, and then you can upload it right away, sell it right away. This really was not possible in 2021. There was only art blocks around. Obviously, with art blocks, you have a creation board, you need to apply. And back then, there was also still like the environmental aspect of ETH, which for us still is like a big thing. So basically, Cyphered went on and created the platform that he wanted for himself as a generative artist. And that really is the story of how FxHash started. So it was a one-man project in the beginning, basically just Cyphered creating this platform to basically sharing it with his artist friends. And that's really how FxHash got started. So it was really like in a bottom-up way. That's also how I found it. I basically was just like jumping from Discord to Discord, and then basically hearing about this new thing, this new platform dropping on Tezos about generative art. I was always interested in it, but I was priced out of art blocks as I was still studying at that time, and fairly new to crypto, so I didn't have like a large ETH stack laying around, but really was interested in the technology and the art, and therefore this really was like a really nice way for me to get into it, as back then like you could mint artworks for 1 Tez, 5 Tez, and I think back in USD terms it was like 5 to 20 euros for like any artwork with like gas fees in a sense. So you could really for the first time buy a lot with little money, so to speak. And that I think was also what like really drove us in the beginning. So what basically a bit of background about myself. I joined FxHash as sort of like a moderator in the beginning on the first day. And then slowly but surely, this went on to become much more. We are now a team of, I think, 7 full-time people with like 10 people participating in like a part-time way. I was the first full-time hire and basically doing like most of like business operations, so to speak. So be it partnerships, be it like internal alignments, like that sort of jazz. Yeah, that's just like a quick little introduction. And I think now I would start to share my screen, just like show you a little bit around about FxHash, how to get started, how to navigate the platform, as UX and UI is slightly different or can be challenging for some. So wait, let me just do that.
Let's look at it.
And if you have any questions anytime for the people. Ah, shit. I'll join right back. I need to give the permissions to Discord to share my screen. I'll be right back.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, I just need to close it and rejoin.
Oh, he rugged us. He's gone. No, I'm kidding. He'll be back in just a moment. Hope everybody's having a good night and or morning or whatever time it is in your neck of the woods. He just had to leave and come back for permissions, so should just be another second. There he is. He's back.
Yo, I'm back, and now
while you're getting things set up, just wanted you to know we had a nice little comment here from Vans. Van says FxHash has been extremely fun for me over the last 6 months or so. Happy to have you here to talk about it. So you got a big.
That's cute. Thank you. Okay, I think you should see my screen, right? Right now it's just on Discord.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, perfect. Then where are we? Okay, we're here. So basically, this is FxHash. The link is like fxhash.xyz. This is the main page. We're currently in the homepage. We're currently in a way of reworking that. That actually still is the first iteration of like when we launched in November. We have not touched that since. Basically what you can do, or like how you can see like all of the generators, so some quick stats maybe about like sort of like what has been uploaded, and for you to understand that FxHash is completely open, meaning anybody can upload an artwork. That means that in this 13-14 months that we have been around, more than 25,000 artworks or like generative artworks have been uploaded, more than 1.5 million tokens have been minted. And overall, we sort of like, or the artists sold art for, I think, roughly 30 to 40 million US dollars, or 23 million Tezos over the past year. So you can really see like it's a lot of volume. We are actually the biggest generative art repository that is out there. So we're bigger than also CodePen, open processing. In that sense, we really have like the most artworks, or like the most generative artworks out there. So when you're on the explore page, you can see all of the tokens basically having been minted. You see like the price, you see some being like in a Dutch auction, and you can really see that there's a lot of sort of like stuff that might not be in like the top tier quality which you expect. But again, if you have 25,000 tokens, if you think about it, then if you have like 10-20% of really great artworks, that makes it like to 2,000 and 4,000 amazing projects. Again, we would like a completely open system. So we as a platform don't want to curate. We want to basically just provide the tools for the artists to buy, the tools for the collectors, the tools for the artists to share their art, to basically sell their art, and for collectors to buy their art. So basically this sort of like non-curation aspect let people within the ecosystem to create like a curational platform on top. And I'll come to that in a second. So these here are like the artworks that have been minted, and you can see the incoming projects which are the tokens that cannot yet be minted but will be mintable in like 18 minutes, 24 minutes. So like today, tomorrow, and you can really see how this is completely different, for example, to art blocks or to other curated platforms where you have maybe one release a week or 2 or 3. And here it really is like you can get your gen art fix every fucking day of the week in that sense, and also at every hour of the week, which is quite interesting, or can make it quite interesting, so to speak, and something that makes it also like a little bit addictive. The actual minting part of things is rather easy. So you just go on the project, you pay at the moment. You can either mint with Tezos or with your credit card, and that really is it. So you would sort of like click on mint, then I'll use Kukai, and then basically you just confirm the transaction, and after 30 seconds, sort of like your artwork would be in your collection, which would also be loads. Yeah, it is, which would then sort of like also be seen directly here. So we're not only a platform for generative art, but also have directly an integrated marketplace. So if you, for example, want to have a look around, sort of like see what are the like most bought projects or like highest traded projects, so to speak. You can at the moment filter for it in like 24 hours, 7 days, 30 days all time. And I think the artist that you probably have heard about or might have heard about. Sometimes, sorry, my internet is a bit shitty in my Airbnb where I am right now. But it's basically Zankan, who has like his garden monolith. Then after this second most traded is the RGBs. You can think of the RGBs as sort of like the FxHash Chromie squiggles, as they are the first project released by the founder Cypher, similar to sort of like Snowflow releasing the Chromie squiggles there, with the small difference being that instead of 10,000 iterations getting minted, this one has 1,000 iterations, so you can see sort of like how the supply is basically 10 times less than what the squiggles are, and basically everything sort of like they were for free, meaning no primary sales, and you can see that they're also now up to like a quite healthy floor of 2,300 Tezos. That really is like a small little overview. In that sense, you can see that we have like a lot of different varieties in style. In that sense, either be it like moving or like still ones. And then what else sort of like what we did on FxHash, what is quite interesting is that we built like basically a text editor, a Web3 publishing form, because we felt that artists at times cannot really tell their story, or cannot really tell sort of like cannot tell more about their artwork. At times it's done in Twitter threads, at times it's done on their websites, but we really wanted to find a way to sort of like, sort of like bundle everything together and make it a much more deeper connection. So if you are, for example, this one is one of my favorite ones, and you can see sort of like the articles written about it, so you can basically see or like read more about projects, get more in-depth reviews of community members speaking about it, and really just like exploring and getting more of the art in that sense, and getting to know more about generative art, really about this educational side, because a lot of people coming into this space don't really know a lot about generative art, and it is completely okay. However, we think that if we really want to onboard like the new people into this space, then we need to also educate the people and give the tools to be able to educate. So yeah, that's roughly sort of like what FxHash is. And I spoke a few minutes ago about FxHash being completely open, having more than 25,000 projects, and obviously as a newcomer to the space, or like a newcomer to Tezos, to FxHash, this might seem daunting and you don't really know what to collect. Of course, you can go with like the highest volume, but that is also a bit boring, so to speak, or just like going for the last 7 days, or you can just like go and mint it, have fun. And that problem was realized quite quickly within the community. So people from the community that have been around from the start in that sense created Tender. Tender is, we say, sort of like layer 2 on FxHash. So they are basically a platform where you can also mint and buy on secondary. But basically, this is like a Tender front end, but this is completely built on top of FxHash, so everything goes through on our main platform. And what they have created is a curated list of iconic long-form generative artworks. You can see that they have multiple art platforms. So they started with FxHash recently. They also added art blocks to GM Studio and other platforms. But really, this is sort of like a selection of the best projects on FxHash, and that is also what I always recommend people to go through if they say, hey, I heard about Tezos, I heard about FxHash, but I don't know where to start. Like, there's so much stuff to go through. I needed someone to like help me guide it, or help me guide. And that really, to me, is like one of the best ways to do it, as you can sort of like go through. Can go through sort of like the history of the first 13 months, and you will see like a lot of artists that you might have heard about, like Iskra Velichkova. Peter Pasma also has released quite a lot, and here's something with Zach Lieberman, for example. Again, like Peter Pasma, Ned Sarkisian, who is doing like an awesome Bright Moments drop, I think right now or like in the next few days. So that is, sorry, that is really what I sort of like recommend to everybody who wants to maybe take a step and sort of like see, okay, what do I like, what don't I like? And that is really for secondary, so you might already need a little bit more tests, but ultimately these are all still prices, or like compared to ETH, prices are still lower. But ultimately, if you really want to take a chance and want to dive in, what I always say to people, what makes the most sense is just like get 50 tests. I think at the moment that's $50 or like 0.02 ETH. And just like go on FxHash and mint and buy whatever the fuck you like, whatever you see. You just get into this feeling of being completely unconstrained by gas fees, being completely unconstrained by sort of like only having one release, and just like exploring, seeing what you like, what you don't like. And then you'll see how fun it can be, how addictive it can be. And I think then you probably start to collect or stay on Tezos for a little bit longer. And then also, just had to drink something. And then also for a lot of people that, or maybe about Tezos in general, there is sort of like this notion that Tezos is not as secure of a chain, or that the artworks are not as secure. So at the moment, we are storing everything on IPFS. Our generative artworks are not on chain yet, but that feature will come in the next month. So we will have the option for artists to basically decide, do I want to create this in an on-chain? Do I want to store the code on-chain? Or do I want to store the code in an IPFS way, which is also secure and also safe to use? And if you want to know more about this, there's this really amazing thread by Klaus Wilke about it, basically about chain risk, Ethereum, and Tezos, and really like in connection with really about in connection with IPFS and what does it actually mean? Where does my art actually getting stored? And really going into the technical details, but also explaining it in a way that can be understood rather easily. So yeah, that's like a rough but like really short introduction into FxHash. I'm sure I talked a lot and there might be some questions. So happy to answer any of those or to go into like further detail about anything. So yeah, just let me know.
Yeah, no, that was great. It was a great walkthrough and a demo of the product. So I guess from, again, someone who doesn't use Tezos chain at all, hasn't created a wallet, hasn't, done anything to get interactive, how easy would you say it is to go from ETH to also getting involved with Tezos without like a walkthrough of exactly how to set things up? Would you say that a normal ETH user should have no problem getting on the Tezos chain?
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, like, it's pretty much you choose a wallet, like choose Kukai or Temple. I think Temple is the most similar in feeling to MetaMask. So go Temple, create your wallet, send some tests to that wallet, either bridge it with Plenty, for example, or just like send tests from your Coinbase or like whatever your exchange is, send some tests to it, and then start with it. It really is. It's really, really simple. So, and also like it's the same basically. You click on mint, you put in your password, like it will appear. You with the added benefit that you don't have to worry about gas fees. Like they're always in the 1 cent or less. So that really is like an additional benefit to it.
Awesome. Okay. And then, again, kind of pulling back a little bit, obviously you gave a great explanation on FxHash. Would you compare FxHash to like kind of a mix between what Art Blocks is to the ETH chain, but also mixed with kind of like OpenSea in a way?
So in the beginning, a lot of people compared us to Art Blocks, said basically, hey, this is the Art Blocks of the Tezos chain. And while I can understand that notion, I'm not agreeing with that personally. So because for me, or to me, Art Blocks is a heavily curated platform, meaning they release top tier projects and they're really great, top tier, but they're curated. And we rather want to create a platform, sort of like foundation for all generative artists to use. We actually want people to build on top to create sort of like an art blocks of FxHash, so to speak, where people curate on their own, where people release on their own, where people give their own curational takes to it. So we really want to provide the tools necessary to do everything within generative art, and we want to make those available for free. We want to make those available to anybody. Second part of your questions, are we in OpenSea? Not really. So an OpenSea on the OpenSea equivalent would be object.com, objkt.com. And basically you can buy all FxHash items or artworks. You can also buy them on object, but not the other way around. So they are really like this aggregator. We are much more focused on generative art and generative art only.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So one question I have kind of is kind of put yourself in the shoes of the artist. And again, my dogs are in the background literally playing like crazy. So if you hear them loudly, I apologize. But put yourself in the artist's shoes, and they have the opportunity to release a generative collection on the Tezos chain or the Ethereum chain. What in your mind is the like, what do you think the artist's benefit is to releasing it on the Tezos chain via FxHash? What can you kind of give me what their perspective might be in the end to choosing Tezos and FxHash?
Yeah, makes sense. I mean, ultimately, if you don't release on art blocks or with GMDAO or any other curated layer where you have to apply, like there's no way for you to release your generative artwork. So really it is, are you one of the top 0.1% of generative artists that is allowed to release on ETH on a major platform? Or are you a generative artist and you just want to release your stuff for the first time? Are you an artist wanting to experiment, wanting to be free of the boundaries of a curated system? Do you just want to create art and also share the art and also sell the art in that sense? And while, for example, you only getting, 2,000, 3,000 tests for your release might not be a lot. I mean, of course, like $3,000 is not nothing. While that might not be a lot in like compared to ETH terms, it still is something where you can either decide, okay, do I want to post this just on Twitter, or do I want to make some money, like generate some revenue from it? And then also, especially on the FxHash side, I truly think that we have built and are continuing to build one of the best products for generative artists out there. We are incredibly product focused. We basically will release some more features in the upcoming weeks that I personally think will change the game for generative artists, basically providing a QQL-like Minter for all of the artists to try out, and some more stuff that is coming. So really it is basically we are providing options for artists to release their artworks that are not out there on any other marketplaces or any other chains, so to speak. And that really is sort of like our belief and our sort of like core goal that we want to continue to have.
So there's another question here from Vans. Vans asks, is there an intentional reasoning behind the separation of the project and the marketplace page? Wondering if that is central for your value in some way. I do think the experience of using FxHash could be a bit more smooth if those two pages were combined.
That's funny. Basically, that has been around from the start. We actually thought about that recently, and might want to integrate that to make it one page. So it's definitely something that we have been thinking about. Really, like, as you can see, our platform is still pretty bare bones in terms of like UI and UX, and that really is about because we have grown so much and basically grown way faster than we ever anticipated, that we just have like our list of to-dos is so fucking big, and we're just like slowly trying to hire more people, but also like listening to the community and just like trying to work like these little things, or like get these little things done. So definitely like integrating the project and marketplace, definitely something that we think about and might actually be doing sooner rather than later.
And then in terms of like volume, what's your current daily volume on there? I mean, is that some stats that you guys currently monitor overall?
Give me a second. I'll look at what our daily volume today is. I think today we had... Wait, it's loading. Actually, we also have this... Today we have, well, like in the last pretty much 24 hours, like 36,000 Tezos. Like overall volume over the last 30 days, we have 2.5 million in volume, and then over the last 90 days, close to 7 million in volume. Our highest volume month was January, where we had, I think, nearly 3 million in volume. And you can basically have a click around for yourself or post that in the office hours here. Basically a platform that we built, or like a sort of like data aggregation layer that we built over basically to give some stats to the community as well.
Okay, so you guys have been doing decent volume in a quote-unquote bear market, as we've seen. Is there?
We're still growing. We're like one of the. Generative art as a whole is basically like one of the few things that is actually growing overall. And we have as well. We have seen a lot of ETH people already coming over. But pretty much that is still like, I think, one of the biggest market that we want to target or want to basically show that Tez is, or like that there are good projects out there on Tez, that there's great art out there on Tezos, on FxHash, and basically slowly but surely trying to get like all of the ETH maxis to maybe reconsider that there is more than one chain, or like that basically art is art independent of chain.
Okay, so I also got another question here from ZZ. ZZ says, are you planning on increasing discoverability of art on your platform? This and only 4 pages of top sellers is kind of not enough. And they put a screenshot there and guest questions of kind of the search.
Yeah, so yes, exactly. I think that pretty much is like one of our targets for 2023. Again, once with this sort of like curated layers that are getting built on top, letting people do it. Basically, you can watch out for example, what GMDAO will be doing soon, but also Tender, but then also just like increasing the discoverability on our platform. So yes, we are planning on doing that. yes, that needs to be done. It's just like, it's like on our to-do list, so to speak.
Got it. Okay. I've kind of like exhausted the questions that I had here for you, but I want to make sure that you still have enough time to kind of speak to things that maybe we didn't talk about. Is there anything exciting coming up, or anything on the roadmap that you really looking forward to that you'd like to reveal to us?
I think what I'm personally looking forward to is going to be FX params, which, to basically paraphrase it, or which I've spoken briefly about, is basically not like QQL, but a QQL like experience where the artist can decide. So basically, if you think of a generative artwork, a generative system, there are always going to be multiple variables to it. So in QQL, you could choose and basically influence all of those variables, and then directly save your seed, or basically save your output, and then say, okay, this is the output I want to get minted, and that I want to mint. With FX params, what we are building, or what we're close to finishing, is a similar way, but slightly different, where the artist can decide, okay, out of my 20 variables that influence sort of like the generative token, the collector can influence 5, or the collector can influence 6, 7, but they can only influence it in a way where they don't see sort of like their final output, but they see basically an iteration of how it could look like. So really flipping the QQL script a little bit, but then again giving that choice to all of the artists out there, and again just like providing tools for people to use it, and that will be published in the next, hopefully in February. And then other than that, I think what else is quite cool, or a drop in that sense, which I'm looking really forward to, is the here and now drop of beads. I can also just quickly post a link to that, because that is also an experience where you can basically wait, that is the link. It's loading for me. Basically, this is a Tezos wide institution, or sort of a program that has been running for 4 editions, where you can basically go through virtual reality rooms, 3D rooms getting built, and basically you buy an entry token to it, then you sort of go through this passage, go through this VR, AR environment, and that environment, basically how you interact with it, what you click, what rooms are you staying, what rooms you're staying for, how long sort of will influence the token and the artwork that you'll get in the end. And I think it's just a really fucking cool experiences, and something that I'm really looking forward to experience and do on my own. And I think that will come out in 5 days from now. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to.
Awesome. I got another question from Vans. How much have you and the team thought about to something like wrapped Tezos? That offers to be more widely spread and liquidity can be maintained? Great question.
Definitely something we thought about. We are not sure if it is us that needs to build that, or other people from the ecosystem, but definitely something that we think also is needed, and probably we will target, if nobody else is doing it, then this is something that we will target for the later of this year, I think, because it's completely correct. But it needs to be done. It adds liquidity. It makes the life of everybody a bit easier. So there's no downside to not doing it in that sense.
Got it. Pretty cut and dry. Awesome. Again, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and kind of discussing a little bit more about FxHash and Tezos, and kind of, I don't know, maybe peeling back the curtain a little bit on what in my mind, and it's not that it's scary. I mean, I've been in ETH for a long time. It's just maybe I'm lazy, and knowing that it's a lot easier than that, than kind of what I thought it could have been, is very helpful, and I'm sure it's helpful to other people here listening too. So I just wanted to kind of make sure we end it on a great note with maybe a quick takeaway from what you want people to understand from this conversation, and why we should be excited for FxHash.
I think to really, like, in one sense, art is art independent of chain. Like, if you like generative art, if you like art blocks, and if you truly like the art, there's no reason for you to not collect on Tezos, because art is art. Like, and the art is good. And objectively, we are in museums. We have been at Art Basel, and we have not been at Art Basel at an offsite event. We have been at fucking Art Basel. We have been at Art Basel Hong Kong, Art Basel Basel, Art Basel Paris, Art Basel Miami. We had a booth there. We basically gave away more than 8,000 artworks there to actual people, like being there to. So really, this is actual art. Generative art is here to stay, and if you think, or if you like generative art, really just like take the plunge, like get 50 Tezos and spend it, have fun minting, and then you can decide on your own and then see for your own if you like it or not. I would assume that if you are listening to this, or if you are around in that space or have been around, like, you'll have fun. You'll see that the community is slightly different, but in my mind, much more nicer, not as toxic as ETH, or like as the ETH community can be. So really just take the plunge, try to have fun while doing it, and stay open-minded, so to speak.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for that, and thanks for the wise words there here at the end. Very excited to explore a little bit. Just throw some Tezos in a wallet and jump on FxHash. And what was the name of the website where we could see maybe some of the more curated opinions again? Tinder, right? There you go. Okay, he posted it there.
Yeah, Tinder.art. So really, like, as your first step into it, really, like, have a scroll on FxHash, mint like a few of the projects that you see have been around, and then if you want to, like, take a deeper step, want to sort of like really look at the art, go to Tinder, go through the icon list, see sort of like what resonates with you, what might be in your price range, so to speak. And then Stefan, Tender also has a mintables section where they showcase great projects that should be minted out but are not. And there you can really also mint for like 15 tests, 20 tests, 5 tests at times. So yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a good. I'm pretty sure there are worse minting strategies on ETH chain right now for a lot of you when it comes to degen mints than that. So throw a little bit of Tezos in a wallet and go crazy, guys. So thanks so much for the conversation. Really excited to see more and to see more success from you guys. Thanks again.
Easy. Awesome. Have a nice rest of your day. And if you have any questions, just drop by on Twitter or like in our Discord and you will be answered. Excellent. Easy. Bye-bye.